Well, those are some of the comments that were ever made. Hello everyone, this is the Shogun coming back to you with a follow-up video about how I talked about shields not being able to fix the game and how the game has too many issues that shields shouldn't be the priority right now. After making that passion project, and let's be honest here, it was a passion project as I'm very passionate about the direction this game is going. It seemed there was quite a bit of confusion about the video from a few people and honestly what the video was about or its direction. And I was writing on the idea of shields, and to those I say, did you even watch the video? I said a few times in the video that I'm not against the idea of shields in the game, I just don't prefer it in this game. Even if my playstyle actually benefits from shielding, and I will be honest, it actually does benefit from shielding. But until the other core issues that need to be addressed in the game, they shouldn't even think about considering putting shields right now, as it's just going to come off as more jank. I was in a rush to get my thoughts out before the introduction of shielding to show you that you can trust me when it comes to talking about fighting game mechanics. And while it wasn't my overall arcing theme in that video to talk about how I feel shields aren't too bad, I did mention inside that video. So let me clarify here and now. Shields bad, fix other things first. And in this video I'm going to go through a list of things that this game should address before working on the idea of implementing shields. But before I begin, I want to say thanks to all the comments in my previous video, as there was a lot of healthy dialogue that was happening on that video. And while some of you are completely wrong in the idea that shielding is absolutely needed in a fighting game, as there's games like Rivals of Aether 1, Power Stone 2, and even the most popular platform fighters Brawlhalla all play around the idea of not having shields, I will fight for your right to be wrong. As that's just American in me.
Like you, I'm American.
So once again I say, it's awesome to see that dialogue. So thanks for that. With that being said, let's get into the video. So to start off, I want to be absolutely clear here. I would rather them not add shields at all in this game, as it feels like they are trying too hard to be like other platform fighters and not its own spin on the idea of platform fighters. If shields are added right now, I'll probably still play it. I just don't like its idea and know that it's just going to be chugging down more jank drink when I hated the first few servings this game has gave me. The game already has defensive options now, they just needed to be worked upon. Which brings me to the first thing that needs to be addressed before shields, the horrible parrying system. For those that didn't play in Betaversus, the parry option that is currently in the game used to be a neutral dodge option, which funny enough, is still listed as neutral dodge in the game. It also still has the dodging animation that was used in beta also. Anyway, let's just move on. This option was an alternate option of defense other than roll, which is a staple of defense since release of Smash Bros. Melee. If executed correctly, you would get the text logo of you dodging the attack and being able to immediately perform actions afterwards. This made for intricate gameplay, as you could bait out those spot dodges and punish them with combos, or if someone is spamming certain attacks, you had a standard dodge option to counter it. Multiversus then changed this mechanic to a parry, so instead of dodging an attack, you now parry the attack, which leaves the target in a long stunned state. It sounds good on paper, as parrying is in plenty of fighting games, except for just one thing. This parry is by far the worst parry in the history of fighting games. Its current iteration just comes off as not worth the effort, as it's a high risk mid-reward that doesn't outweigh spacing options. And sometimes its intentions just flat out don't work.
What?
Let's compare parrying in Multiversus to other notable parrying in fighting games. In Street Fighter 3rd Strike, you have a 10 frame window to parry. In Smash Ultimate, you have 6. In Soul Calibur 6, you have 11. In Street Fighter 6, you have an infinite number of time to parry as long as you have drive meter. And you also get a 4 frame window for the perfect parry to have a guaranteed combo. And what do you get in Multiversus? You get 3. That's right, you get 3 frames of parry window. That's insane. The fact that this game has no other standard option of defense, you'd think they fleshed this mechanic out a bit more. And this parrying option being so bad, of course players are going to feel they need a shield option. And how they feel that rolling is their only option of defense. And trust me, there's a lot of players that feel this way.
It feels like the button-mashiest plat fighter on the market right now, and why its most common defensive tactic is dodge behind your opponent and hope for the best.
Having only a 3-frame window for parry is why you see so much of this, and a lot of this. And you'd think that'd be the only bad part about parry, but no, trust me, it gets worse. If you parry a projectile, you're at disadvantage. That's right. If you somehow time that 3-frame window option, you're actually hurting yourself if you try to use this on a projectile. I cannot imagine to tell you as a top competitor how atrocious this is, how bad it just feels to get punished for trying to play the game on a higher level. This is like taking Evo Moment 37 and after parrying the last kick, Ken is just frozen. I know I've been saying it a lot for this parrying, but it's just so hard not to stress how crazy that is as a competitor and as a spectator to see something like that when you understand the intricacies of fighting games. And the only way to make this somewhat even for the projectiles is if you use a perk. A perk that has to have you trade some of the best perks in the game, just to play the game normally how it would if you were trying to play it on a higher level. If you're going to have parrying in the game, at least increase the frame window to 6 or 7 frames. Or just outright remove it and bring the dodge option up to 9 or 10 frames like you would normally in games of this nature. The next thing that absolutely had to be fixed before adding shielding in this game is auto-teching. When I first heard they were adding auto-teching, I didn't know exactly the implications of it, but from the explanation, it sounded like they couldn't push the game and its combos further unless auto-teching was in the game. Now, me coming from a Smash background, I love the idea of teching. But notice I said I love the idea of teching. Another option to provide skill expression like directional influence, or DI like a lot of us Smashers or platform fighters like to say, to push and pull your ideas of defense based on reaction. But what MVS implemented is not that at all. Auto-teching in Multiversus just turns all your second ground bounce into a 50-50 mix-up, removing all skill expression out of DI from your grounded bounces that were previously in the game. There's a reason why other games don't have auto-taking, as it calls for mix-ups for the player on defense. So in a situation where you are getting knocked down, you have the option to tech or not tech. So if a player is playing very aggressive and the opponent knows this and they're on defense, they don't have to immediately get up and can actually end up whiffing attacks trying to hit the player while they're still on the ground. This causes players to think about their aggressive approach. But if a player knows that an attack they're doing will always lead to a tech, they no longer have to think about their follow-up, only the 50-50 of the direction. Because let's be honest, the events frames for auto-taking are abysmal. And you are at such a frame disadvantage that if you guess correctly, you are put back into the loop. This makes being on the offensive end as just getting free damage and feels horrible on the receiving end for a read. If someone reads my tech in any other fighter game, I'll think, oh, okay, that was pretty smart, I'll give you that. But if they read my tech in MVS, all I can think of, okay, this is trash. It feels like they didn't express themselves in a level of skill, more so they just guessed correctly. If you're going to keep auto-taking, add more invincibility frames to it. Or you can be like other fighting games and just make teching manual, where if you hit the dodge button right before you're about to hit the ground, you will tech. Adding one or both of these options will make the player feel that they have something in forms of defense when getting attacked in these situations. And now let's get into the last part of this video, and the part I just dread thinking about: the hitboxes and hit detections in this game. I could literally make a whole video alone on how bad hitboxes and hit detections are in this game. But for the sake of my sanity and the sanity of those that have been on the receiving side of the jank train that is hitboxes, I'll try to keep this as brief as possible. Hitboxes will continue to kill this game, period. We're just gonna stop there. Hitboxes are a big issue in this game. There's no sugarcoating around it. Hitboxes are they're insane. And the reason why so many people have quit this game and continue to quit this game. Nothing can describe the feeling of losing games to the things that you felt never should have hit you in the first place. And the fact that one, they took the time and effort out of fixing hitboxes to add the previous auto taking mechanic mentioned, and 2, they're still trying to add mechanics, with the most recent being shield, taking a lot of their time before fixing hitboxes, and 3, the lead at Player First Games didn't even know until recently the hitboxes were issued, frustrates me beyond no end and make it extremely difficult to take this game seriously. Hitboxes are a staple meme in the community, and countless videos are coming out of how wonky they are. And while I can give the game a pass for how animations aren't as telegraphed as other games, I cannot give it a pass for how forgiving some of these hitboxes are, and the amount of time some of these attacks just linger after hitting a target. Some hit stun on attacks last over 10 frames, eating my 10-frame buffer, which ends up making me miss some of my attacks or combos that I'm trying to do. If you watched up to this point, you're probably thinking, well, Sho, if all these things are so bad, why do you still play it? Well, because the game has potential. So much potential, and I feel that they all but squandered it so far. There's traces of solid combo systems in the game, an extremely good spacing system, good reads, and strong punishes. It also has by far the best 2v2 system of any platform fighter, as it builds around the idea of playing 2v2s. And with these videos, they are my last-ditch effort to bring awareness to the community as to why this game feels bad at times to them. Posting pictures of hitbox issues and voicing my opinions on Twitter felt like it wasn't enough anymore. So I made these passion projects in hopes that enough eyes and support can see it so it can make it to the developers, that the videos are big enough that they cannot ignore me or the community any longer. And I feel that if these things are not addressed, this game will cease to exist and the community will be scattered in the wind. So that's why I make these videos. And if you feel the same, feel free to share it, try to get the word out, let these people know about these issues, and maybe it'll get to the developers and maybe some changes will happen with enough voices. So that's the end of this video. And if you watched up to this point, I want to give a very special thank you to each and every one of you. And like the previous video, let's get a conversation in the comments and see if we can have some more helpful dialogue. Let me know how you feel about my takes. Even if I don't always agree with you, it's always good to hear from you guys. But of course, being civil, I will respect their take. So let's get the ball rolling and keep our game alive. So until next time, everybody, peace, love, and show out.